It was a year hollowed out by loneliness, the kind that led Julian to make decisions he would later dissect in the quiet hours of the night. It was how he had come to acquire the company of Leo, a young man whose beauty was as sharp and refined as cut glass, but whose temperament was just as fragile. Their arrangement was a transaction of conveniences. Kisses were itemized on an unspoken invoice. Intimacy was governed by the cold authority of an alarm clock. Leo would often turn a cold shoulder without, a silent, beautiful statue of disapproval. It was profoundly unfulfilling. The thought of ending it had solidified in his mind last week. He simply felt nothing for Leo anymore, a dull ache where a spark should have been. As he mulled over the logistics of their separation, the bathroom door opened. Leo emerged, swathed in steam, wearing nothing but an air of unabashed confidence. His eyes, the color of rich whiskey, met Julian's without a hint of shyness. He was a masterpiece of biology, every line and curve perfectly proportioned. A siren, Julian thought with a sigh. Another test of his resolve. Julian rolled over, feigning sleep, silently praying the boy would just put on some clothes. It was a futile hope. He felt the hem of his pajama shirt being lifted, followed by a trail of cool, damp skin against his own. Leo was doing it on purpose. A low murmur tickled his ear, a silent accusation that Julian was only pretending and that he wanted this as much as Leo did. The boy's fingers traced lazy circles on his neck, a well-practiced, irresistible seduction. Julian knew he couldn't afford to lose this round. He sat up abruptly, grabbed his phone, and transferred $10,000 to Leo's account. He hardened his face into a mask of authority, the one he thought a man in his position should wear. He gestured to the bed, his voice flat. Over here. It was the performance of a benefactor. Leo simply leaned in, one hand cradling the back of Julian's neck, the other clicking off the bedside lamp. Less than an hour later, the alarm blared, shrill and unwelcome. Leo was the first to stir. He patted Julian's cheek. "Time's up," he'd said, his voice devoid of any warmth. The finality of it was infuriating. Julian never seemed to have the upper hand. He was the one paying, yet he felt like the one being used. A surge of frustration made him kick Leo out of the bed. The boy gathered his clothes from the floor, then leaned down to press a soft, fleeting kiss to Julian's lips. "Good night," he whispered. "That one's on the house." Julian took another cold shower. He remembered bumping into Dr. Evans from gastroenterology 2 days prior. Evans had looked him over with a clinical eye, remarking on how worn out Julian looked and advising that a young man shouldn't hold things in for too long. It was time. He needed to end it. But a mandatory corporate retreat on a luxury yacht, an event he couldn't get out of, postponed his plans. Even a divorce has a cooling-off period, he reasoned. He would enjoy the trip, maybe scout for a replacement, and then deal with Leo when he returned. His phone buzzed incessantly. A stream of messages from Leo. Pictures of a small cut on his hand, complaints of boredom, pleas for Julian to return. Julian had told him 3 days. It was now the 4th. Leo hated people who broke their promises. He was threatening to come find him. Julian relented, hiding in the bathroom to send a quick, obligatory photo. Leo, predictably, was not satisfied. He wanted more, a video call, something to prove Julian wasn't with someone else. After the call ended, Julian buried his flushed face in a basin of cold water, the cigarette between his fingers burning down to his skin. He had made up his mind. This tangled, confusing relationship with Leo was a dead end. It would only lead to trouble. Leaning against the yacht's railing, the sea breeze cool against his face, He composed a breakup text. Then he heard a name drift across the deck. Leo. At first, he dismissed it as a coincidence. But then a familiar, languid voice cut through the murmur of the party. He looked up. There, surrounded by a coterie of heirs to tech fortunes and old money, was Leo. He was lounging on a sofa, head tilted back, the picture of casual indifference. He was devastatingly handsome, his skin pale under the deck lights, his left ear holding the sleek, expensive hearing aid Julian had bought for him. He seemed distracted from the card game, his eyes occasionally flicking to his phone. He lost several rounds and as a forfeit had to answer a question. A young man with a signet ring leaned in. Leo, if someone used you and then tried to toss you aside, what would you do? Leo propped his chin on his hand, his gaze distant. He said that if they were ugly, he'd have them thrown into the ocean to feed the fish. If they were beautiful, he'd bury them in his backyard to fertilize the roses. The questioner pressed, what if it was Julian? A slow, chilling smile spread across Leo's lips. I wouldn't even let his ghost rest in peace. The name hung in the air, and a profound unease settled over Julian. The others didn't laugh. They just quietly sipped their drinks, their expressions a mixture of pity and fear. Julian felt an urgent need to run. But where could he go? He was on a yacht in the middle of the ocean. He quietly deleted the breakup text. As he tried to slip away unnoticed, a waiter stumbled, spilling a tray of drinks with a loud crash that drew everyone's attention, including Leo's. His cool gaze swept across the deck and locked with Julian's. For a few heart-stopping seconds, neither of them moved. Then, a colleague called out from across the deck, Julian. The faces of the young men around Leo turned to stone, their eyes wide with a collective, shocking realization. It was the most mortifying moment of Julian's life. The truth was, Julian had bought him. In a moment of profound emptiness, he had walked into a loud, gritty New York bar and seen a boy singing on a small stage. Later, in a secluded booth with Julian drunk and draped over him, he had whispered, close enough for his lips to brush Leo's ear, asking if he needed money. Leo, propping a cushion behind Julian to keep him from falling, had simply asked back if he had any. Julian, in his intoxicated haze, had admitted he had some, but not a lot. He remembered that Leo was the most expensive one there. Leo had only smiled, his voice tired. It's fine. I'm a good value. You can afford me. That night had been a blur of desperation and release. He remembered Leo holding him from behind, kissing his neck, and murmuring that all sales were final. It was absurd. Julian had left without even giving his name. He saw him again by chance. He was taking shelter from a downpour in the entryway of another club, this one hosting some kind of high-end bachelor auction. A waiter left a numbered card on his table. He ignored it, pushing it under his glass. The music stopped, and a voice over the speakers called out a name. Leo. Julian looked up and met a pair of cool, detached eyes. The boy's hair was a defiant silver gray, his earlobe glittering with diamond studs. He had the face of an angel and the posture of a delinquent, a combination that was utterly captivating. Julian's eyes followed him as men in the crowd held up numbered paddles. It slowly dawned on him what was happening. As the host announced the final contestant, number 33, was Leo, and that his bidder was a no-show, Julian got up to leave. Leo walked off the stage, his hands in his pockets. Someone asked where he was going. Without looking back, he said he was going to find his number 33. Julian glanced down and saw the number 33 stuck to the back of his own hand. As he was about to peel it off, he heard the screech of tires outside, followed by a woman's scream. He ran out to see Leo shielding a small child from a car. After the grateful mother and shaken driver had left, Leo stood rubbing his wrist. He looked at Julian. "Are you a doctor?" he asked. Julian nodded. "I think my hand is broken," Leo said calmly. "Can you take me to the hospital?" The X-ray confirmed it. A fracture. At the hospital, a nurse told him his friend was asking for him. Leo was sitting on the examining table, his leg casually propped up. He claimed he couldn't pay the medical bills and asked to borrow money from Julian. Without the club's chaotic lighting, Julian could see a tiny, fetching mole on the bridge of his nose and a thin leather cord tucked under his shirt, probably holding some kind of memento. He recalled the nurse's earlier comment that Leo had a face that could make people forgive him anything. Perhaps his only flaw was the hearing aid. Julian refused, stating they didn't know each other. Leo's gaze was steady. "Brother," he said softly, a single word that sent a jolt through Julian. Julian's face remained impassive. "Don't call me that." Leo just smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "Number 33, he said, holding up the small numbered card that had somehow made its way from Julian's hand into his. Julian ended up paying for everything. Leo needed to be admitted, and Julian left him his address on a piece of paper. Leo showed up the next day with nothing but a white cat that looked just like his Messenger profile picture. Julian presented him with a 1-year cohabitation contract. It was simple, mostly stipulating that Leo would have meals with him. A companion. Leo signed without reading it, a smirk on his lips as he asked whether the companionship was strictly limited to the dining table. Julian had thought for a moment. "Both." Leo laughed. "The other service costs extra." Julian didn't care. He had the money. Back on the yacht, in the privacy of Julian's cabin, the tense silence was broken. Julian tried to explain, to apologize for the deception, but Leo's gentleness had vanished. He pushed Julian against the wall, his hands pinning Julian's wrists. His voice was cold. "You think I'm dirty?" As he leaned in, the charm on the leather cord pressed against Julian's chest, a hard, distracting presence. Leo claimed his boss had threatened him, that he was just working, entertaining clients. Julian didn't know what to believe. Leo's grip tightened on his jaw. "Don't you dare look down on me." Julian knew he couldn't win this fight, not with the repertoire of tricks Leo had, especially in bed. Still, he forced the words out. "Let's break up." The motion above him stopped. The pressure on his jaw intensified. Then Leo let out a strange, humorless laugh. "All right, just like that." Julian was about to breathe a sigh of relief when his last remaining piece of clothing was ripped away. Leo's eyes raked over him. "Touch me one more time," Julian threatened, trying to cover himself, "and we are done." Leo pulled out his hearing aid, his eyes cold. "Then I'll go sleep with those men out there. Let them ruin me. Since you don't believe me, you can stay here and watch." He was insane. Later that night, drenched in sweat, Julian heard Leo's voice in the darkness, calling him brother. He felt a hand on his back. "I never do good deeds," Leo whispered, his voice a dreamlike echo. "But for you, I can make an exception. Remember what you said. If you dare forget, I'll kill you." Julian's eyes snapped open. It was a dream, a bizarre, unsettling dream. The next morning, the door opened and Leo entered with breakfast. He looked tired, the dark sweatshirt he wore making his pale skin seem almost translucent. "You're more durable than I thought," he remarked. Julian shot him a glare. "Shut up." Leo only raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. "Brother, it was a compliment." He then lifted his own shirt, revealing a series of angry red scratches across his abdomen. a testament to the previous night's conflict. He claimed it was a work-related injury and asked Julian, the doctor, to tend to it. Julian refused, stating flatly that his specialty was fertility. Leo's smile widened. "Then you should check me too, brother. After all this time, I haven't conceived your child. Something must be wrong." After being forced to perform a full-body examination, Julian escaped to the ship's lounge, where he ran into his colleague Dr. Asher Vance. Asher was the epitome of a mature, handsome professional, calm, rational, and polite. He was also, as Julian knew, intensely private and rumored to be homophobic. Asher asked about the young man who had answered his door earlier, shirtless and hostile. Julian, feeling a reckless impulse, didn't bother to lie. "He's my younger brother," he started, then corrected himself. "Actually, I'm his sugar daddy." The carefully constructed composure on Asher's face cracked. He stared, speechless for a long moment, before awkwardly raising his glass. Julian, realizing his mistake, quickly tried to backtrack, assuring Asher he had no interest in him despite his good looks. Asher's expression only darkened. The trip ended, and the unease remained. Julian couldn't shake the feeling that Leo was lying, but they weren't even a real couple. It wasn't worth the anger. Still, Leo's constant presence was unnerving, and his whispered threat from the dream echoed in Julian's mind. One evening, in the yacht's dimly lit bar, he saw them again, the same group of wealthy young men cornering Leo. One of them, a man in a red jacket named Dylan, grabbed Leo's chin. "Heard you sold yourself," Dylan sneered. "Doesn't matter who buys. Come with us." Leo turned his head away. "Get lost." Julian watched from a distance, lighting a cigarette. The situation escalated when a curly-haired boy snatched Leo's hearing aid, tossing it in his hand. "Want it back? Beg me." The device fell, was kicked around, and finally stepped on, shattering it. Red wine was poured over Leo's head. The sound of their laughter was sharp and cruel. Julian stubbed out his cigarette and stood up. He grabbed a heavy glass ashtray from his table. "Leo." Before the boy could even register his presence, Julian had thrown the ashtray, hitting the loudest of the group square in the head. Chaos erupted. Security arrived. Julian calmly helped Leo to his feet, speaking into his good ear, telling him not to worry, that he had money and would buy him a new one. Leo's eyes were fixed on him, his expression unreadable as he clutched the broken pieces of his hearing aid. The man he'd hit, Dylan, was bleeding and yelling about pressing charges. Julian just smiled. He calmly threatened to release a video of their assault to the police, framing his own actions as self-defense. The group's bravado crumbled. One of them, a quiet, bespectacled man named Connor, apologized for their behavior. A few days after they returned, Julian called his lawyer, just in case. Leo sat silently on the porch when Julian found him, staring into space. The sight of him, so small and vulnerable, stirred a feeling Julian had been trying to suppress. A dangerous, unwelcome wave of protectiveness. He gave Leo a black card. Leo didn't take it. "Are you trying to pay me off?" he asked. Julian sighed. "It's to make you feel better." He had never asked about Leo's past, and now he felt a pang of regret. This feeling of pity was a dangerous complication. He finally did it a week later, after a long shift at the hospital. He told Leo they were done and left him a generous severance. The breakup went more smoothly than he'd expected. Leo had simply taken the card, his face a blank mask. "As you wish, brother." As the door closed behind him, Julian felt a strange sense of loss. He deleted Leo's number, determined to make a clean break. 3 days of silence passed. An unfamiliar number called. It was a hospital. Leo had been in an accident. An allergic reaction to anesthesia meant his wounds had to be stitched without it. The injury was on his neck. If he'd been brought in any later, he would have died. Julian went to him. Leo refused to look at him, his voice muffled by the pillow. "You don't want me anymore. Why are you here?" He refused treatment, claiming it was a waste of resources. He said no one cared if he lived or died, that even Julian was tired of him. Julian knew he was being manipulated, that he should walk away. But looking at the boy who had been his companion for 2 years, looking so broken, he couldn't. He gave in. "I won't leave you," he said, his voice soft. "Just be good, and I'll take care of you." The hospital buzzed with gossip about the breathtakingly beautiful boy in room 301 and his relationship with Dr. Julian. Julian ignored it. Later, in the sterile quiet of the VIP room's bathroom, Leo's hands were on him again, his mouth mischievous. He pressed Julian against the door, his recovery apparently miraculous. "You were so fierce earlier, brother," he whispered. Julian gritted his teeth. "Leo." The boy simply laughed, his body flush against Julian's. He pointed down. "Your pants are dirty, brother." The night Leo was discharged, he went straight to a birthday party for a man named Preston. Preston was turning 20, and the bar his family owned was filled with his acquaintances. Leo arrived late, looking subdued and innocent. His hair was back to its natural dark color, the studs were gone, and a white gauze bandage was wrapped around his neck. He looked so pure that a few people who didn't know him felt a predatory urge. They were quickly warned off. "Don't be fooled by the face. If you piss him off, you won't have time to run." The proved prophetic. A drunk man mistook Leo for a server and touched his face. Preston, returning from the restroom, saw the look in Leo's eyes and knew there would be trouble. But Leo's temper seemed to have mellowed. In the past, he would have smashed a bottle and held a shard to the man's throat. Tonight, he simply picked up the drunk man's bottle, a cold smile on his face. "Drink this," he said softly, "and I'll forget it happened." A message notification lit up his phone, and his expression instantly softened. He tossed the bottle aside. "Just kidding," he said brightly. "I'm in a good mood tonight." He told the man to get lost and walked away, typing a reply. The message was to Julian. "Brother, someone bullied me." It was accompanied by a tearful emoji. Julian found him 10 minutes later, sitting on the steps of a bakery, staring at a lopsided cake. His eyes were red-rimmed, his right hand bleeding from a fresh cut. He didn't say what happened, just buried his face in Julian's chest. The cake, he mumbled, was one he'd made himself. It was ugly. A stick figure was drawn in frosting, with the letters JRN above its head. "Happy 26th birthday, brother," he whispered. As they stood there, Asher Vance walked out of the same bakery holding a cake of his own. His eyes widened in surprise when he saw Julian. A moment of awkward silence passed before Asher wished him a happy birthday. Later that night, after blowing out the candles, Julian received a text from an unknown number. "Happy birthday." It was the same anonymous message he received every year. Leo, a smudge of frosting on his cheek, asked what Julian wanted for a present. His eyes were dark with anticipation. Julian smiled. "You. For free." Leo's answering grin was wolfish. "Funny. I was thinking the same thing." After a grueling shift at the hospital helping with a multi-car pileup, Julian fell asleep in Asher's car on the way home. He woke up the next morning parked outside his apartment building. A jacket draped over him that wasn't his. It was Asher's. Rumor had it that Asher was a severe germaphobe who never let anyone touch his personal belongings. Clearly, it was just a rumor. Inside, the apartment was empty. The cat, Caesar, greeted him, but Leo was gone. His calls went unanswered. He found him later that night in an underground boxing club. Leo was asleep on a sofa in a VIP lounge, oblivious to the violence in the ring below. His friends, Connor and Preston, were there. Preston explained that Leo had been in a foul mood all day, had even rammed his own new sports car into a stranger's car and then dragged the driver here to be a punching bag for hours. The man's offense? Flicking a cigarette but at an elderly woman. The phone on the table rang. It was Julian. A pale, slender hand emerged from under the jacket covering Leo. He declined the call and went back to sleep. When he finally woke up, he took the call. His voice, when he answered, was soft and sweet, a stark contrast to the cold fury he'd displayed earlier. "Brother," he cooed. "Sorry, I was busy. Did you miss me?" A few days later, a strange man cornered Julian after work. He was the man whose car Leo had wrecked. He was aggressive, making crude advances, and mentioned that his brother was the hospital's deputy director. The confrontation was interrupted by Leo, who appeared looking like a college student in a hoodie and a face mask. He told Julian there was a car fire in the parking garage and he needed to move his car. The aggressive man, whose red Porsche was parked there, paled and ran off. It was a lie, of course. Down in the garage, the man, Lee, realized he'd been tricked. Furious, he kicked a nearby Audi. As he was on the phone complaining to his deputy director brother, the Audi's headlights flashed on, blinding him. The engine roared, and the car sped towards him. In the split second before impact, he saw the driver's face, the beautiful, unsmiling face of Leo. As Lee lay bleeding on the concrete, Leo walked over, his shadow long and menacing. "It's very rude to covet someone else's boyfriend," he said, his voice deceptively gentle. "Didn't your parents teach you any manners?" He dropped Lee's diagnosis sheet, which he must have taken from Julian's office, onto the man's chest. It read, "Terminal. Recommend removal." A new patient was transferred to the hospital, a young master from a powerful family in the capital. He was supposedly sent here for treatment but was actually under a form of house arrest after being ousted by a younger, illegitimate brother. His name was Nathan G. He was devastatingly beautiful, and the hospital staff were warned not to speak of him. Julian met him by chance in a club. He had escaped the hospital. The man looked at Julian with an unnerving familiarity. "You've changed so much, Aiden," he said. The name, Julian's real name, hit him like a physical blow. Nathan was Leo's older brother. He told Julian to stay away from Leo, calling him a mentally ill monster who had destroyed their family. He said if Julian hadn't saved Leo all those years ago, he might have made it back in time to see his parents before they died. "Do you regret it?" Nathan asked. The dam broke. Memories, locked away for years by electroconvulsive therapy, came flooding back. He wasn't Julian, a simple doctor with a fabricated past. He was Aiden, the reckless, thrill-seeking heir who had lived for the adrenaline of a street race. He remembered the rainy night, the small boy clinging to his leg, begging for help. He remembered the boy's scarred left ear. He remembered saving him, giving him the jade pendant his mother had given him, tied to a red string. He remembered the crash, the feeling of sinking into the cold, dark water, and the small figure diving in after him, trying to pull him free. He had pushed the boy away just before the wreckage collapsed. That boy was Leo. He had survived, but his parents had not. They died in a fire at their factory, an act of revenge by his racing rivals. Consumed by grief, he had tried to end his own life, but Asher, his childhood friend, had stopped him. Asher had sacrificed his own dreams of being an artist to stay by his side, begging him to live. But Aiden couldn't bear the weight of his past. After seeking revenge, he had left Asher a letter and disappeared, changing his name, undergoing therapy to erase everything, to become Julian. He walked out of the club and saw Leo sitting on the steps, bathed in the glow of the city lights. He looked beautiful and harmless. Julian walked up to him. He looked into those familiar, whiskey-colored eyes. "Let's break up," he said, his voice hollow, "and let's never see each other again." He resigned from the hospital. Asher found him packing. "Are you running away again?" he asked. Julian forced a smile. "No, just tired of this place." He knew what Asher wanted to say, the feelings he had held on to for years. "Asher," Julian said softly, "thank you, but I hope you can be happy without me." Asher's gaze was unwavering. "I won't be." Nathan was dying. He had a hereditary disease. He told Julian the whole twisted story of the G family. How he was the product of an affair, a pawn his father used. How Leo, an orphan adopted to be a spare, was relentlessly abused, tortured by a family terrified of the potential for mental illness in his bloodline. They had tormented the boy, burning his ear with hot wax, trying to force a madness that wasn't there, until they finally created the monster they feared. Nathan confessed his jealousy. Even at his worst, Leo had someone who loved him. Aiden. Nathan revealed that on the day of his death, he had arranged for Leo to die with him. Julian ran. He called Leo, his heart pounding. "Where are you?" Leo's voice was calm. "Outside the hospital." Then, through the phone, Julian heard the deafening sound of a car crash. He saw it at the end of the street. A black car, crumpled against a stone wall, bursting into flames. He whispered Leo's name, stumbling forward, his mind blank with horror. An explosion threw him back. Strong arms caught him. He looked up, dazed, into the concerned, unsinged face of Leo. "Brother," Leo said, wiping away tears Julian didn't realize he was shedding. "Why are you crying?" "I'm fine." Relief washed over him, so potent it made him weak. "Leo," he gasped, "I have something to tell you." Leo bent down, his forehead resting against Julian's. "Funny," he said, his voice soft. "So do I." Julian told him to go first. Leo took the simple, unadorned ring from his own finger and took Julian's hand. "Brother," he said, his eyes finally stripped of all pretense, holding nothing but a raw, desperate hope. "Let's be together. For real this time."